Hey everybody, coming to you from the office tonight. So I've been kind of under the weather, so I'm not really digging the thought of smoking this evening. So and my camera stand broke, so that's a bummer. But I'll super glue that later. So um, anyhow, I haven't been on much. I did see some comments come through on my video about my brother, so thank you for that. I will get back and personally respond to all those. Just haven't had time. Like I said, I've been really not feeling the best. Went and got all the shots in my neck today and all that jazz. So that's never fun, but it does help with the pain. So that's the good thing, a good thing, right? So wanted to do a video today about one thing I touched on in my video about my brother was the nursing facility. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today. And then one thing I wanted to start doing, and I told you guys, I should take pictures. I have so much stuff. I've been putting some stuff on Facebook Marketplace. I sold an old mountain bike that I had for whatever. It's a beautiful bike. Never seen a trail. I was going to be a mountain bike rider, just like I was going to be a lot of things. And sometimes that doesn't pan out. But I have, hundreds of pipes. I mean, I have a dresser. I mean, a literally full-size dresser that's stuffed full of tobaccos, all kind of stuff. Stuff that I couldn't smoke it all in a lifetime, even if I smoked every day, which I don't. I smoke very rarely anymore. Just the way life has changed or become, which is fine. But I thought, on each video, I'd show and tell. I'd show a couple items that could be discussed. I'm not saying they're for sale. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying they're show and tell and could be discussed. If you'd like to discuss them, it's buckeyepiper@gmail.com. We'll start that today, and see if anybody, strikes a chord with anybody. Over on my brother's video, the obituary is still up if anybody wanted to look at that. The GoFundMe is still up. I'm working with Fair Hope, the Pickering House. My brother won't have a headstone, so I'm trying to I'd like to get a bench dedicated in his memory there at Pickering House. There was a lot of them around, and one of the ladies that got back to me yesterday finally said that her father-in-law had done that for her mother-in-law, and she always goes out at lunch and break and sits on that and kind of reflects. So I thought that would be a cool way to honor his memory. And like I said in my video, he loved it there. It was a blessing for us that he was there. So okay, well, let's get started with show and tell. So one item I'd like to show and talk a little bit about is this beauty right here. Now, this is a handmade David Huber. David's a local carver. When we had TAPS, Triangle Area Pipe Smokers, it has been smoked some, not a lot. There is still a little bit, maybe a bare briar down there, but not a lot. But interesting shape and style, and it's got a lot of cool grain work. Hopefully you could see a lot of bird's eye. It is definitely a conversation starter. So, but that's a David Huber. When I bought it, it came out. It's got my name on it, but that could clearly be erased. This is a leather pouch that David signed for me for that. So it's an interesting piece, a good conversation starter, and something that I've had in my collection now for 4, 5, 6 years, and I just don't grab for it. I don't reach for it. It's a collector's piece in my opinion. So, but that's not, if you listen to guys on here, pipes are meant to be smoked, not sitting in a case. And I've got a lot of them sitting in a case. So, but that's one item that, if you'd like to discuss that, hit me up. A couple other ones that are discussable. This is pretty cool. Found this in the cellar today. Enough said on that. You can read that. And there's probably 8 ounces there. And this guy, probably the same, probably 8 ounces there, or close. I would measure it out if I was to have a discussion and do more showing and telling about those items. And then lastly, here's a cool one. And I somehow acquired 10 of these and have 8 of them still unopened. You can see the date, the 19th. Not the 19th, 2019, July 22nd, 2019. So that bad boy's got 5 years, and it's a Virginia, and that's the magic number when Virginia's really come alive. So if any of that show and tell, if you'd like to know more about that stuff, again, BuckeyePiper.com. So want to get in the video now. I want to talk about, nursing facilities and check your people. Make sure your people are all right. If you have to put somebody, a loved one, in a nursing facility, whatever you want to call them, nursing homes, rehabilitation centers, they've got a million names because they try to always change what they're called to make them seem different, but they're the same thing. But if you have somebody that you love, or even a friend, or maybe a friend's parent that's in one, check on them. So I'm going to share a couple stories that my family experienced, and one of them, the second one I'll share, is probably lucky I wasn't in Ohio when that occurred. I probably wouldn't be here talking to you right now. We'll just put it that way. So anyhow, my brother first went into a nursing facility. He was going into the rehabilitation side. He was having trouble walking. So he was going to be rehabilitated, and he was going to be, he was going to be, he couldn't walk. Cut to the chase. He couldn't walk. The cancer had taken its toll and eaten so much muscle that he was to the point where he really couldn't stand or walk without assistance, even with a walker or a cane, which he had been using. So he was there to get strengthened. So first of all, I don't think they did a bit to strengthen him at all. I think they let him lay in bed the whole time, and some of it may have been on him fighting them. Some of it they should have, had a program for him. It didn't seem like they did. But anyhow, this was back in May. I was there. My son was there. My stepdad was there. And my brother was bedbound, so he wasn't getting up and using the restroom. Okay. So went in there day one, and there was one of those bedpans. It looks like it sets on a walker, but it sets over the toilet, but it still catches everything. It doesn't have a hole to drain. And so I went in there to use his bathroom, and OMG, you talk about old stinky urine that was in that thing. And that was not his. He hadn't been using that bathroom, so I don't know how long it had been in there. So went out, talked to him, said, hey, I just want you to know, you need to clean the bathroom. You need to get this out of there. It's none of what he's done or what any of us has done. And it's old, it's brown and bad. So please get that out of there. Go back the next day, still there. I go back out and talk to him. Again, I have patience of Job sometimes. And yeah, we'll get it. We're so sorry we missed that. We're so sorry we missed that. We're so sorry. Go back the third time. It's still there. So I was a little more forceful. Nice, but a little more, hey, this needs to be done. I've asked 3 times now, and that's it. 3 times. Tried to call the director of that wing of the nursing facility. They wouldn't answer the phone. Couldn't get an email for anybody. So I left it at, they are going to fix it. I told my stepdad when we left, I said, if that is there tomorrow, when we get there, I'm going to take that, I'm going to throw it out in the hallway, and they can clean up that mess then. Because they just aren't doing it. And fortunately, it was done. So, I would talk to my brother while he was in the nursing care, and he would share some stories. But the one that really got me is, they have so much trouble staffing these places, like everybody does. Nobody can really find any staffing right now for anything. Not only that, but companies are struggling so much financially that they're cutting staffing to the bare bones and overworking those that are there. So it's really rough. But my brother obviously is bedbound, so he's not able to use a bedpan or go to the restroom. So he's got an adult helper, and it depends. He had to use one of those, which, when you get sick and you can't get up, that's what they're there for. Because in a nursing home, they're not going to do a catheter or IVs or anything like that, because they're not trained to do, you're only going to get that at the hospital. So, he tells me this story, and he said, John, he said, he was like out of his mind, upset and frustrated and mad. And he said he had been ringing his nursing bell for help for over 3 hours. For over 3 hours. And I had seen a little bit of this when I was there in May with other residents. My brother would get frustrated because he'd be like, why is that guy yelling all the time? And found out after I watched a while, it's because he rang his bell and nobody came after 30, 40 minutes. So he started yelling. Don't blame him. I probably would or will if I'm ever in that situation. But anyhow, they let my brother stay in that condition, soiled, laying in filth for over 3 hours. Finally, a nurse came and he told her, hey, I need help. This is what's going on. And she said, you're just going to have to wait. Just going to have to wait. So then another couple hours passed, and then they finally took care of him. That's not how you treat another human being. I don't care what facility you're in. And I know you've got a lot of people to tend to and take care of, but you've got to make sure, and the state needs to make sure that you're not letting people do that. And that's, if I was there at that time, again, I'd probably be still incarcerated in Ohio. Maybe not, because I have a clean record. Maybe they would cut me a break, but maybe just water. Maybe they would, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'd cut me a break or something. And then like I touched on before, I went up in August and I got the call from the ICU that morning. I had just left my house. It was just 3 miles down the road. That facility let my brother go a week plus without eating anything. Obviously he's sick. He was severely dehydrated, severely constipated, and they weren't doing a thing about it. So finally, like I said in my last video, when they called the ambulance and they took him to the hospital, he was, they didn't expect him to live, really. His blood pressure was 60/40. He had almost no pulse. I can't remember exactly what they told me his temperature was. I want to say like 95 or 96. It was low, shockingly low. I don't know if it was that low, but they told me it was way below. When I got there, they had him under one of those really heated blankets that just blows warm air on you and sets on you real tight. His respiration was almost not there. They thought they were going to put him on a ventilator. It was just, how could you, my frustration with them is how could you let somebody get to that state? You obviously see that somebody is sick, whether it's my brother, your brother, a father, it doesn't matter who it is. It's another human being. You let them get to that point, and you really shouldn't have. From a moral perspective and just a, doing the right thing and taking care of another human being, I wouldn't even treat an animal that way, no chance. And here they are treating humans that way. I've got other stories, when my grandma was in the same nursing facility many years ago, and I don't know why my brother picked he wanted to go to that one, but it was his choice. They had made her get in a wheelchair. She was really sick with cancer as well, and elderly. I think she was probably 87 at the time. They made her get in a wheelchair, pushed her down to the main common area, and that was in the morning, and they forgot about her. She sat down there all day, and she was having trouble speaking and everything, so they left her down there. Finally, somebody came in that knew her and said, "Oh my gosh, that's Blanche," and started asking questions and found out she'd been there quite some time. So just thought it's important to share that. I did write a pretty long letter to the Ohio Board of Health, and I said I don't my brother's situation and how it ended with him passing. I don't think anything would have been any different per se, but they certainly could have done a better job while he was in their care of taking care of him with compassion and making sure he had all his needs met. That's why we were so blessed for the Pickering House, and again, that's kind of why I want to do the bench in his honor there, is because that place was. I'm going to do a video just on that, but that place was phenomenal. They took care of people the way people should be taken care of. That should be the model of how all nursing facilities operate. People first, compassion, care, making sure people are taken care of. Not every answer they gave you was a yes. My brother would ask a question, or could I get some medicine? Well, it's not time. I mean, they didn't just give stuff. I mean, not every answer was a yes, but they were caring, compassionate, and explained everything. So anyhow, if you have a loved one in a assisted facility, a retirement facility, nursing facility, rehabilitation facility, nursing home, whatever you want to call it, keep up with them, check on them, talk to them, especially, especially if they have, heaven forbid, dementia or Alzheimer's or something of that nature, because they may be getting treated poorly and don't remember and can't really tell anybody. Keep up with your folks that are in these situations, because as my family found, even the good ones, and I was talking to hospice when my brother was at the Pickering House, and they shared with me even the good ones aren't that good. They're better than the bad ones, for sure. But the good ones are still, they have their issues. They have their issues with staffing. They have their issues keeping up. So, we found in our research there was one that was pretty good in Lancaster, Ohio, but the problem was everybody knew it was good and everybody wanted to go there. So there was a wait to get there. You had to go to one of their satellite centers in order to get there. One of them was in Thornville, Ohio. That's where my brother, had he continued to live, would have went into Thornville, Ohio. My stepdad and I went out and we toured that place. And actually, we were a little bit impressed with that place. Now, can't speak to how good it would have been because we didn't have my brother there. But, they had, it was a big, almost like a big circular square with different wings. And each little room cut off. Rooms were in twos, and you had a curtain. So, it was male section, female section, whatever. But what I liked about it is there was little rooms all around. They'd have board games out there. There was residents that had puzzles going and things like that, because not everybody is bedridden. There are a lot of people that can get up and get in a wheelchair or walk or walker or whatever. So not everybody is bedridden. So there's a lot of things to do. They said you could even bring your family in if you wanted to have, a day with your family member. If they're a resident, you could bring them in. You could play games. You could play cards. There's a lot of stuff. So the other place, they never had anything like that. So this place was kind of it was still a nursing facility, but kind of. It seemed like they got it. You could feel the compassion, and as we were taking the tour, the nurse that was giving us the tour would talk to everybody, knew everybody's name, everybody was smiling. You didn't hear people hollering and yelling and cussing like you did at the first place that my brother was at. So if you're hearing a lot of that, some of it could be dementia. People get confused and they yell and whatever. But if you see a lot of that going on, there's probably a reason for it, and you just stay close. Just, I don't want anybody to have to learn the hard way, kind of like we did. And again, my brother picked a place, so we, and he was of sound mind, so we let him pick the place he wanted to go to. But after it was all said and done, once he got better, when he got to the hospital, he said, "There's no way in heck I'm going to go back out there. I'm just not going to go back out there." So we had already had that that figured out and taken care of. So anyhow, if you've watched this long, thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks a lot again for all the kind words and well wishes. It's tough, man. It's tough. We're all going to face it someday. So, maybe tuck this video away, or tuck the thoughts away. You don't need to tuck the video away, but tuck the thoughts away. Someday you may have somebody that has to go to one of these facilities, and just keep in mind, you need to kind of police your person, because they're not going to do it unless it's one of the really good ones. Anyhow, thanks a lot, everybody. Hope you enjoyed show and tell. Wash your damn hands, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.